wanted to ask you. Okay.
Okay, welcome, fellow Bloomington Rotarians. Today is Tuesday, June the 7th, 2022. I'm in my home stretch. And through the wonders of technology, I'm coming to you today from Folly Beach, South Carolina, where I'm in Charleston, near Charleston, South Carolina, attending the Spoleto Festival. I'm Sally Gaskell, your current president. So please remember, since we're all on Zoom today, please stay on mute during the meeting, which improves the sound quality for everyone. And we hope that no one has any technological issues, including myself. Sarah Laughlin, would you kindly give our reflection today?
Yes, I would. This is somewhat ironic, but lately I've been thinking about fellowship on a week when we're all sitting at home by ourselves on Zoom. However, you remember that fellowship was the original purpose of Rotary when Paul Harris and 3 other business leaders in Chicago got together. They called it Rotary because they moved around from office to office each week so they could get to know each other. And the purpose was to exchange ideas and form meaningful, lifelong friendships. I'm sure that's the reason many of you joined Rotary too. In my time in Rotary, I've been blessed with your friendship in so many ways, and there have been so many wonderful fellowship opportunities in the last couple months. I thought I would just tick them off because sometimes I think we don't even notice them. First, the district conference. So many from our club were there, and it was fun to see you on a Saturday when we had several hours to learn and eat together and pack period positivity pouches. And I came home feeling filled up with Rotary again. Over Memorial Day weekend, I got the chance to meet 4 visiting Palo Alto Rotarians. And again, they were so interesting. They had so many great service ideas. They were just such nice people. I haven't gotten to go to any Rotary Club meetings outside our district yet, but their visit made me want to do that, and especially with the team from our club. So I'm hoping to go to Palo Alto in November. Last weekend, another picnic, this time a pitch-in organized by Cindy Neidhart for the refugee resettlement volunteers and families. Tim Jessen, David Meyer, Beth Savage, and I were there from our club, along with so many other friends from other parts of the community and our community's new residents, all sharing food, laughs, darling children, and big plans. And finally, our president-elect, Alan, is in Houston this week, representing us at the first Rotary International Convention in 3 years. And I hope you're following his posts on Facebook, because there's just nothing like a hall full of 12,000 Rotarians, all recommitting to world peace and understanding accomplished through fellowship and service. Sometimes people say, I joined Rotary for the fellowship and stayed for the service. But it's really a spiraling purpose, I think. You join Rotary for the fellowship, you stay for the service, and then you continue on because you've made friends and you truly appreciate the fellowship, which allows you to find new avenues of service, and so on and so on and so on. So happy fellowship. Wish we could be together. See you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Sarah. That was terrific. Yes, that's a good reminder that next week we're also on Zoom. Now, Joy Harder, did you spy any guests or visiting Rotarians in our lineup today? I think I see one.
Ah, okay. Then you go right ahead and introduce, Sally.
Brad Kimmel, you are there, and we do not see you. Oh, maybe we will see you, but we're very happy to see you. Can you say hello?
Hello. Hi, Sally. Hi, everyone.
Wonderful.
Yes, thanks, Jim, for reminding me to jump on. I'm looking forward to the speaker today.
Wonderful. Thanks. And Brad, of course, is our, can I still say new?
almost a year and a half, if that's new. Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. Brad is our established head of WTIU, WFIU, radio television services at Indiana University. Okay. I want to thank Sarah again for giving the reflection. Michael Shermas, Joy Harder, and Natalie Blaze for being our producers on Zoom today. And Jim Bright for being our roundabout reporter this week. Also want to give a shout out to Katz, which is here every week, recording our proceedings for posterity. We have some interesting birthdays this week. June 10th is Chris Michael Morrison, CM's birthday. And on June 11th, Jeff McKim and Steve Engel. Happy birthday to all of you. And it's a big week for anniversaries again this week. I want to start with Raj Hadawi, just up the coast from me in North Carolina. Raj, you've been a member of our club for about 4.5 years. Happy anniversary. We're so happy to have you. Marty Donnelly has been a member of our club for 10 and another club for 5, making a total of 15 years for Marty. Hank Heichema, 10 years in Bloomington Rotary. Jim Sims, I can't believe this one. It says that Jim Sims has only been a member of our club for 3 years. Now, I find that hard to believe because he's made an impact like the rest of you. And finally, Martha Wales, 9 years. How time flies. I want to congratulate Jeff Baldwin, who received the Dan Petro Legacy Award last week from the Boys and Girls Clubs. Jeff was honored for his 15 years of service and leadership to the clubs. I want to give a brief Polio Plus update. It's not good news, I'm sorry. There is another new wild polio virus case in Pakistan. That makes a total of 3 in Pakistan this year, and also 1 case this year in Afghanistan. But every time a new case is discovered, Rotary jumps into the breach and vaccinates all children within a 75-mile radius around the site of the latest outbreak. Polio is pesky, isn't it? But Rotary makes sure that there's enough money to keep the local volunteers in Pakistan and Afghanistan with adequate supplies of the precious vaccine. Of course, Rotary does so much more than working to eradicate polio. We are improving healthcare all over the world in many, many ways. And with that, I would like to introduce Peggy Frisbee, who has some presentations. And Peggy Frisbee is coming to us as our Rotary International Foundation Chair.
There, that's better. Thanks, Sally, and thanks also, that's actually a good segue to talking about Paul Harris Fellows. Rotary is a place for hope, community, caring, and learning for and about each other and those throughout the world. One very important pathway to building goodwill and better friendships and to doing something that is beneficial to all concerned is to support the Rotary International Foundation, which in turn uses its donations to make grants here in the US and in places of need globally, and support the polio eradication effort. Most currently, and sadly, some of that money is being used in Ukraine. Rotary in turn recognizes as Paul Harris Fellows those who contribute to the Rotary International Foundation, as well as those who exemplify the Rotary ideals, whether as members of Rotary or as others in our community. So today we honor several of our members with recognition as Paul Harris Fellows Plus, okay? That means this isn't the first round for these folks. First, and I know Martha is here. Martha, let's recognize you. Martha is being recognized as a second time as a Paul Harris Fellow for her service to Rotary and to Rotary International Foundation. Martha has been a member of our club since 2013, apparently 9 years, okay? and worked for many years as an advisor in IU's Office of International Services until her retirement. She carries on a family tradition of serving through Rotary, as her father was a Rotarian in Madison, Wisconsin for more than 70 years. Congratulations, Martha. We're not able to do the formal pinning, but congratulations and thank you. Next is Joy Harder. This is the third Paul Harris Fellow recognition for Joy. Of course, many of us are familiar with Joy's multi-talented service, which has included serving as our club president, working with young people in Rotaract and Interact, and keeping the fun and sometimes song in the forefront of our club meetings and activities. Joy says she's next looking forward to serving Rotary as assistant governor for our district, assisting our incoming district governor, our very own Lance Severly. Joy, thank you also for your service and congratulations. Next is Joyce Poling. Joyce was not able to join us today, but this is the fourth Paul Harris Fellow recognition for Joyce. Joyce has given many years of service to our community, both professionally and as a member of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, along with other public service roles. So Joyce isn't here, but kudos to Joyce. Thank her for all she does. And I don't know, Sally, am I doing the next one or are you? I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is truly self-congratulation here, folks. I am a little embarrassed, but I'm also really pleased to also receive my own second Paul Harris Fellow recognition today. I believe Rotary and its foundational beliefs stated in the four-way trust are more critical today than ever. In these times when headlines are dominated by war, violence, health crises, shortages, and more, I encourage all of you to just go on the Rotary and the Rotary International Foundation websites to see what's being done. To me, contributing to Rotary International Foundation is just one way I can do my part in achieving the four-way test beliefs. I ask all of you to become a Paul Harris Fellow if you are not already, by contributing regularly to the Rotary International Foundation. When your contributions total $1,000, you too will be a Paul Harris Fellow. And to those members who are Paul Harris Fellows already, keep on contributing. These donations continue to be needed and will be put to good work throughout the world. And also remember that you can use your accumulated donation points to recognize someone else as a Paul Harris Fellow. Just contact me or Natalie to find out how you can do this. Thank you all, and congratulations again to Martha, Joy, and to Joyce. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's probably not easy to do a standing ovation as we would always do it. But know that you all are receiving one in our hearts. And thank you so much, Peggy, as well, for stepping up to the plate this year, right after you retired from your long and illustrious career as an estate attorney in Bloomington. We really appreciate your service. Okay, we've got time for happy dollars, and I hope that plenty of us are happy today so that we can add some funds to Teachers Warehouse. Natalie, can you put the link to the Teachers Warehouse PayPal in the chat? And please speak up if you are happy for something. Sandy Keller, I know you're happy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sally. I would like to, for my happy dollars, give $10 to celebrate an event that will be happening next Thursday at my sister's closet in our new formal room at 6 p.m. that I would like all my Rotarians to feel invited to. It is a dedication of Diana's Passage, one of my friends that passed away 10 years ago with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but she was a fervent supporter. And it will also be the new launch of our relocation campaign for my sister's closet called Standing on Her Shoulders. So I hope you can all make it. I'd love to see you.
Thanks, Peggy. Sorry, I was just reading the chat to Peggy. Thank you, Sandy, and congratulations so much again on your important award, Human Rights Award from the City of Bloomington.
Can you
Raj
see?
Hadawi and then Charlotte Zitlow. Raj.
Well, good afternoon from the windy city of Chicago.
Ooh.
I'm spending some time here through the month of June, and I appreciate the recognition of the years I served as a member of the Rotary. I'm unfortunate will not be physically available to serve, but I'll do my best to support the causes. I give $10 for the good cause of the teacher warehouse and $10 for each of the year I served as a member, rounded to $50.
Oh, thank you, Raj.
That's a big round.
Generous to a fault.
Thank you.
Charlotte.
Yes, I want to give $20 for a bunch of things, but first of all, for Sandy Keller's award, which was so well deserved and so well presented at the city council meeting 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. It was wonderful, and she has done so much for women in so many ways in the community. You know, it's these, especially our immigrants, the people from Afghanistan and wherever they're coming from these days, that she's making it possible for them women possible to be well dressed. She offers them the opportunity to get jobs and have help moving into the community. I'm very proud of her. She's wonderful, and I also want to thank Sally for being such a good president. And I hope she went to Rihanna Giddens' opera in Spoleto. Did you?
Indeed, I did. I'll be happy
Wonderful.
about that in a little bit.
Okay, good. I'm glad. So anyway, it's good to be a Rotarian today with this club. Thank you very much. And
Thank
Raj is the cherry on the whipped cream.
Love it. Thank you, Charlotte. Teresa Claire.
Hi, I will give $10, happy dollars, to announce that I'm starting a book club for women. We're going to read, the first book is going to be Smart Women Finish Rich, and I have 10 copies for Rotarian women that want to join the book club. So we're going to have a meeting at the end of August, but would be happy for anyone who wants to join that. You can email me, and we'll get you included in that. So I'll just add my email into the chat.
Wonderful.
Cool. I'm all for book clubs. Who else is happy? Okay, well, so I'm happy, as I promised earlier, because I came here to Charleston this week to attend the Spoleto International Arts Festival, which I first attended 42 years ago as an apprentice management intern. And I've been back to Charleston since, but not to the festival itself. So I just decided that this was the year and rented a little beach cottage and am going to performances every day. I have some friends here who I'm seeing. And yes, Charlotte Zitlow, I did see the world premiere of a new opera by Rhiannon Giddens, which is about a Muslim enslaved person who was transported from Western Africa to Charleston in the 18th century and wrote an autobiography about his experience. And this is the first time that his life has been treated in a creative way. It was powerful and terrifying and inspiring. So tonight I'm seeing a play. Last night I saw an early music performance and a different concert during the afternoon, and I got a little bit of a sunburn. But other than that, I'm not complaining, and I'll be back Friday night.
Wonderful.
Who else is happy? Oh, and I'm giving $10 to Teachers Warehouse. Natalie, can you please do that for me? You see, Natalie makes it easy. You don't have to fill out the PayPal if you don't want to. Okay, going once, Going twice. Gone. Thank you all. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the county historian for Monroe County, Indiana, Glenda Murray, who will introduce our speaker.
Thank you very much, Sally. And I'm happy too, because I do get to introduce Hilary Fleck to you today. Hilary's a native of Jasper, and she's been interested in museums for a long, long time. She started as a teenage volunteer in Du Bois County Museum and worked her way up from there. She has a BA from the University of Evansville and a master's from IU. And she started as the collections manager at the History Center in 2015, and she's now the curator at the History Center. She's received a number of grants that she's written applications for. She received the May Wright Sewell Fellowship from the Indiana Humanities in 2019, and that helped support the research that she was doing about women suffrage movement in Indiana, especially in Monroe County. So she did an exhibit about that. Then she did an exhibit the next year. She followed that with an exhibit on the elected women in Monroe County. And those have both been wonderful to make it more available to people to remember those who came before us. There's lots more, including talking about her husband, her 4-year-old son, and her 1-year-old daughter. But I'm not going to do that because I'm trying to leave time for her. I do want to remind you that in addition to the current project she's going to talk about, which is the HT Photo Archives, she's also been involved in opening a new exhibit on COVID. The History Center did some oral histories, and some of those oral histories, quotes, are in a new exhibit. So please come and see how we pulled together and helped each other. And then there is a zine exhibit that's opening at the end of the month, handmade magazines. So Hilary, tell us about the archives.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Glenda. And thank you all for having me here today. I'm going to quickly share my screen with the presentation I made for today. Okay, so I hope that you can all see that. Maybe I'm gonna minimize everybody's faces that I can see. So, so please unmute yourself if you have any questions and need to stop me. I'm going to try and keep my eye on the chat. If you have any questions, I'm going to put them in the chat instead, but feel free to ask me any questions and there'll be a Q&A at the end. So I thank you all again for having me here today. I'm talking about the Herald-Times archive collection that we have recently accepted into the History Center's collection, but briefly, if I can advance the slide here for a sec, there it is. I wanted to just give a quick introduction to the History Center for anybody who might be new to the area or has not yet visited the History Center. So the Monroe County History Center, it was built in the building was built in 1918 as the Monroe County Public Library. But in the 1970s, the library built a new building, and so they moved over. And we opened the Monroe County History Center as a museum in 1980. And so we've been operating for the past 42 years as a museum and a genealogy research library. Our library has expanded. We do not only do genealogy, we do a lot of local history as well. But that was one of the basis of our business to our library is a lot of family research. So if your family is from the area, or if you'd even just like to know more about your house, if it's a historic house or a business that you see like, hey, that looks funny, like what is that building? We can tell you all about it. We also have 2 rotating galleries and 3 semi-permanent galleries. So semi-permanent just means that the topics are the same, but the artifacts regularly switch out. So you can come anytime and hopefully see something new every time that you come. We also have a Dunn Museum store that sells a lot of local history books and topics, and then gifts as well. So you please stop by. So the Herald-Times archive collection. So we were made aware in 2021 that the Herald-Times Gannett had purchased the purchased Herald-Times and the building, and we're looking to possibly sell the building. So with that, we were very concerned with what the archive, the holdings, the historic holdings that they had at the building and what was going to happen to that, because obviously we did not want that material to go away or possibly end up in a dumpster somewhere. So we contacted a gentleman at the Herald-Times and asked, like, hey, we're interested. What do you have and how can we help preserve that? So that really, over the course of several months, ended up into a larger agreement. So we have an agreement with Gannett, the company who owns the Herald-Times, that we have access to their vertical file material, the developed photographs, and the negative photographs. That is not everything that they own. They do have a large collection of bound newspaper books. We do not have the physical space for those newspaper books, but we are trying to work with the IU archives, the Indiana State Archives, to try and find a home for these books, because we can't accept them doesn't mean that they're not worth saving. We definitely want to make sure that they are preserved somewhere. We just can't physically take them here at the History Center. So our processing plan. So over the past few months, since probably about October. So, I mean, we're looking at close to a year now. We have been moving material over from the Herald-Times facility on South Walnut, moving it to the History Center. It has been a slow going journey, but we are making lots of progress. So we were able to we had a generous donor, Dr. John Teal. He has sponsored a student intern for the entire year of 2022 to process the developed photograph collection into our collections database. So we're 6 months into this internship, and we have processed over 1,600 photographs from this collection, and we're probably about halfway through that material. So we're looking at more than 3,000 photographs from this collection. And so it's going to be a lot, but I'll give you a sneak peek in just a few minutes of some of the more interesting photographs, but we're very excited about this collection and all that is there. I also have a volunteer, Rod Spa. He is a retired editor from the Herald-Times, and he is assisting with specifically the sports photographs, because there are so many sports photographs, and sports player and identification is not my forte, but Rod is very excited about it. So he is helping us to identify who the players are, perhaps what year they were playing, and then even narrow it down to perhaps what game they're playing based on the opponents. The vertical file material is also very interesting. So you see pictured here is our research librarian, Megan McDonald. And again, Rod Spa are processing our vertical file material from the HT and adding it to our History Center vertical files. And what a vertical file is mainly just a subject file of clippings, notes, reports, papers, anything that is perhaps not worthy to be in the museum's proper collection. It's in the library's collection, so it's a reference, kind of like if I'm going to learn more information. So we're happy and very excited to add so much more material to the vertical file material that we currently have. Megan was very excited to find this folder that was labeled cults. And so she was very excited to take a sneak peek inside and see what kind of cult activity was happening in the Monroe County area. So it's very exciting. Okay. Oh, did I miss a slide? Okay. So accessibility. So now we're working on still processing through this this collection, but the collection is accessible to all HT staff. Copies of all materials will be provided to the HT staff specifically upon request at no charge. This is an agreement that we have with Gannett that we provide this material because they do still retain the ownership of this material, and that's made clear in our agreement. But so at any point in time, any member of the HT staff can reach out to me and say they want to come and look at the folder on cults, and they can absolutely do that, and we will make accommodations for them. The collection is also available to the public to a certain degree. We are currently, because we are currently processing the collection, it's not all available because we don't even know what we have completely yet. Our process is to add them to our collections database, and then that database gets quarterly updated online. And so all of quarterly, the whatever we have processed will then be available online and searchable to the public. The public does need to, they do pay for copies of the material, and then all acknowledgements are made to the Herald-Times. So as we're working through this, it's a mountain of material, but we're really just chipping away at it bit by bit. This is one of the pictures that was from the collection, is Scott May cutting down the net after the 1976 perfect season victory. So that's very exciting. We have so many pictures like this. That's really amazing. Oh dear, that was part of the processing plan. The negatives, we have so many negatives in the collection that we're not really sure what to do with them yet. So our priority is working with the developed photographs, and since we have that sponsored internship. So we're focused mainly on that right now through the year of 2022. 2023 is probably when we will then shift over to the negatives. We don't currently have physical space for the negatives, so that's something that I'm working on this year to accommodate space for them and to make sure that we can professionally and correctly house the negatives so that they are preserved. It's just, there's thousands of photographs, and so we're trying to figure out where we're going to put them, how we're going to process them, and where to keep them digitally or to not keep them digitally. It's really there's a lot up in the air right now, but they are searchable to a degree at this present time. They are dated, and sometimes they have a subject, which is really great. Not always do they have a subject and clarifying of what that is. So, but if you are interested in specific material, I can do what I can to look through the negatives to see if there were photos taken of that event or date. So next, I thought I would just highlight some interesting images from our collection that we have processed so far. So this is we actually have quite a lot of images that look like this, which are just contact sheets of the negatives. So this is a contact sheet that a photographer went around the Herald-Times building and took photos of his coworkers. And so we're not really sure if this was like an advertising, like a push, or if this was kind of, we're not really sure why he was taking photos of the Herald-Times and coworkers doing their work, but it's really a wonderful asset that we now have, because we can see what did the interior of the building look like in 1986, who was working there, and that sort of thing. So this is a contact sheet, and then the red circles that you see that are penciled around are the negatives that they chose to make into developed photographs. This is a fun one. So I saw this one and I was like, oh my goodness. This is Jail Deputy Brad Swain describes the safety features of the new jail cell to some people who toured the new facility in 1986. And so I thought that was really fun to see a young picture of young Brad Swain. So I thought I'd highlight that. This is a picture of the interior of the old JCPenney building during the renovation in 1986. So this is, 1987. So this is when Fountain Square Mall was being renovated and into what it is currently today. So we see there are several in progress shots in the collection. Next, we have the old Illinois Centro Depot before restoration. We also have quite a few pictures related to that, but I would like to do a small plug. We have currently have an exhibit about the Illinois Central Depot restoration. It's part of our Gail and Bill Cook Preserving History Legacy exhibit that we have in our Rector Gallery right now. And it's up until July 2nd. So this is the last month for it. Here we have a wonderful picture of Charlotte. So this is a photograph of Charlotte exposing some old balustrades during the renovation of the Monroe County Courthouse. So we got a really, really fun shot, but then also a really amazing image of like, what did the courthouse look like before the renovation, and how was that history exposed again? So it was really amazing, and just a fun shot too. So this is one of the images that we have a little bit less information on. Not all of them come with extensive captions, but this was Carl and Mac from Classic Bowl. And so that's all the information we know. I don't know Carl and Mac's last names. So if you do, please let me know. But it's also not dated for when this photograph was taken. So that's another thing that we're not really sure the dates on all of the developed photos. They don't always include a date. These are 2 contestants for the Miss Monroe County during the county fair from 1991. We do have extensive photos from the county fairs. So that's really exciting to see, but there's just so many. And they did take headshots of all of the Monroe County contestants. So for a few years, we have these developed photos of a grouping of all of the contestants. So that's always fun. A Bloomington Transit bus from 1981. There is a series of Bloomington Transit, and I think from when maybe it was starting to get off the ground in 1981. So it's really exciting to see early versions of the buses and how the transit system has changed over time into what it is today. The Greenery Restaurant and Seafood Emporium. So this is really fun to see these snapshots that we have inside. We do have several restaurants included in this collection that we've found so far. Again, we've only processed about half of the collection so far. But this is really exciting to have these little snapshots of what the inside of the restaurant used to be, especially if anyone was to renovate or restore any of the spaces. We do have a few interior shots as well. I would like to put a plug out that opening in August, we will be having a Restaurants of Monroe County exhibit. So if you'd like to see more, please come on down. This is an image of the crane removing the marquee from the Princess Theater in 1983. So I really enjoy walking past the Princess Theater quite often and just admiring the architecture. And so it's just really, it was exciting to see this image that we have this moment in time. This is one of the more wild images that we have in our collection. Sandra Miller is dressed as a clown and going down the water slide at Bryan Park Pool in 1985 during the grand opening of Bryan Park Pool. So we have a lot of pictures from that celebration of Bryan Park Pool and kids enjoying the pool and all of that and swim lessons and things like that. But this was one of the wild ones of a clown going down the water slide. And the construction of the Monroe County Public Library. So obviously this photograph is dated to July of 1970. And so that's once this library was completed, they moved out of what is currently the Monroe County History Center and was the public library, and they just moved across the street. But it's exciting to see that process happen as well as the construction process of the library. So if you are interested in helping, we have so much material to go through, so there's no shortage of help needed for this collection. It is very large. Like I said, we've only processed about half of it, which is about 1,600 developed photos, and then we've got thousands more of the negatives, which will also take some time to go through. But if you're interested in volunteering, please let us know. You can fill out a form on our website, and you can specifically say you'd like to help out with this collection, and we can work something out. I wanted to, since I gave some shout outs to Rod Spa, I wanted to include a picture of Rod when he was on a tour with us at the Levi Coffin House in 2018. So I just wanted to shout out to Rod. Thank you. But he has been an invaluable volunteer with this, especially his connections with the Herald-Times, obviously his former employer, but it's been really amazing to have him help out and get us connected and get us this material, which is really amazing. Thank you. I did see that there's something in the chat. Oh, Charlotte. Okay, yes. So Charlotte wields a sledgehammer. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I can open it up to anybody who's got any questions.
If you have a question, please either raise your virtual hand or just unmute yourself and ask away. Charlotte, please unmute yourself.
Is that unmuted?
You are.
Okay, I'm just want to thank Hilary. I'm still working on my book on the 71 election, and she's been wonderful in letting us look at the both the negatives and the print sheets. So thank you so much, Hilary. You've been a great help. And in fact, that sledgehammer thing was a huge surprise. We had no idea that the balustrades were there, and it was just a huge, wonderful thing. Just knocking down the wall was satisfactory, but
I imagine. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte. And I'm actually headed out to the HTs probably later on this week, probably Thursday or Friday, to see if I have any pictures from the 1971 council that I'm still trying to get to you.
that would be wonderful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Hilary, there's a question in the chat. Do you see, from Liz Vidal, do you see the History Center expanding in the future?
Expanding. So we don't have a lot of space to expand. We're kind of maxed out with our space right now. What we are doing is considering offsite storage. That is something that we don't currently have. All of our collection is literally in the building. So we do have our third floor, which is not accessible to visitors, is our collection storage. And so that's where my office is. But because we are reaching capacity, and because we are at a point where we need to take in wonderful collections such as this, and we can't pass it up, we are looking into offsite storage, which is not something that we've had before. So I do think that that's probably going to be happening next year as we consider taking the negative collection. But yeah, it's physically expanding the building, probably not, no. I see, are the photos being digitized as they are cataloged? Yes, they are. So as we're cataloging them into our database, it also includes a picture. So that's what you see when you search our online database. You can like type in courthouse, and it will pull every photo that we have, every object that we have, every newspaper clipping that's been processed in, and it will show you courthouse. Will that be the Monroe County Courthouse? No, because we have more than just the Monroe County Courthouse in our collection. So it will be others as well. But you can, I mean, if you keyword search like RCA, you're going to get thousands of items that we have in our collection on RCA. So it's really, but absolutely everything, all the photos are getting digitized as well as they are getting processed. How many staff do you have, and how are you funded? So we currently have 5 full-time staff members, and we are hiring myself an assistant. So we're currently in that process, and we are funded through a variety of means. We do have an endowment that helps with overhead, but then we also have our annual garage sale fundraiser, which is this weekend. I will say that this weekend. Wednesday is for Cook employees and members of the History Center. So it's like our sneak preview day. And then Friday and Saturday are our garage sale days. So open to the public. You can find more information on our website about that. But that is largely how we're funded. Our garage sale usually brings in about 6 figures each year. Is the HT collection available for use by other media in our productions? Yes, we're actually working with WTIU. We're working with Jim Krause on a documentary of the Buzz Chum, and we're using a lot of this material as well. So yes, absolutely. there is the financial aspect. We do charge a fee, but usually we work out a deal. If it's Jim Krause is working on a documentary about the Buzz Chum Theater, and so he's got a lot of pictures, and so we've worked out a deal on that. Okay, what financial support do you have for this project? Is Gannett helping? Are you working in partnership with IU or any other organization? Financial support. So the only financial support we have for this project is Dr. John Teal's intern sponsorship to process the collection. Gannett is not helping us in any financial way other than they give us access to the building so we can go whenever we have time to pick up the materials, but they are not providing any sort of funding for that. Are we working in partnership with IU? We are only working in partnership with them to find the materials that we cannot house, such as the bound newspaper books. We're trying to find other homes for those, so we can make sure that they're preserved, even though that we cannot physically take them. How is the MCHC funded? I've already answered that one, so I'll skip that one for now. What is the chronological distribution of the pics? Okay, so the negatives seem to start in the early 1950s, and they are listed by date. It is not clear whether or not that is the date that the photo was taken or the date that they ran in the paper. Sometimes that's different, and so that's not clear in the early collection. Then we get to about the 1970s, and then it starts to becoming much more clear, and it's labeled. There are subjects sometimes, so oh, this is the city council meeting, or the county fair. So it gets a lot clearer the further on you go. The collection does seem to stop around the late 90s, early 2000s, and that's when I'm told the HT went really purely digital. They no longer printed their developed pictures, and they started moving towards a digital format. So that makes sense that we no longer have negatives or developed photos in that case. The Bloomington Press Club, yes, the Bloomington Press Club is sponsoring an intern to help us turn this information into an exhibit. So we're planning to have an exhibit on the history of Bloomington newspapers, well, Monroe County newspapers. We're not restricting it to Bloomington because we're also going to include Ellettsville and Steinsville and that sort of thing. So there is going to be an exhibit in late 2023. So over a year from now, there will be a newspaper exhibit. So keep an eye out for that. But the press club is helping us to sponsor that and help us to do the research and writing for that exhibit. What is one or more of your fun surprises and discoveries as you have been digging through the archive? I can't answer that because there's not one. There's a lot of really fun pictures. Parades are really a lot of fun because people get real goofy in parades, and like the clown going down the slide, you're just like, okay, that's odd. But you get really like the picture of Charlotte and the courthouse, you get really wonderful gem photographs. So you're just like, this is amazing. And such a moment that I'm so glad that we were able to find and have captured. So it's really exciting. And there's really no way that I can narrow it down to one. There's just too many. We do have one really interesting one that we have no information about. There's nothing written on the photo, but it is a colt horse, a colt inside a living room watching a television that has Golden Girls on it. And so we're really just like, why is this horse watching Golden Girls? What's happening? Is the horse a pet? Is this some sort of animal refuge? What's going on here? We really have no idea. There's no date, there's no details, but there's a horse watching Golden Girls. So it's really fun. Okay, what's the next? Do you use facial recognition software to help with identification of photos of individual? First off, hi, Teresa. Second, no. So that would be a whole nother database that we'd really have to upload. And our I would say our facial recognition software kind of is like me. Because there's my intern had processed the photograph of Charlotte in the courthouse, and there's no details other than Hush Hush Charlotte, which is the caption that the photographer put on there. And so I was like, oh, that's Charlotte Zitlow. Oh, that's the courthouse, you know? So sometimes I'm able to identify what's going on. Sometimes my volunteers are able to identify. Rod has been very helpful as well on identifying some people. But I think if that's really what's important, is getting more information from the community. Is like, I don't always know who these people are. And so the more help that I can get, the better, honestly, will help us round out what's going, the photographs and identifying people. Are there plans to obtain the digital photos made after print photos were no longer used? There are not, because Gannett still has control over those images and they're not ready to release those. I think that they prioritized the collection that we have now because it was it's physical and it's in the building and they need to clear out the building. The digital files, they can put those on the cloud and they can exist anywhere. But yeah, they're wanting to clear out the building so that they can sell it. So that's where we stepped in and we are able to take the physical items. So yeah, there are no current plans to obtain the digital photos. And I think that might be another copyright, like, scary territory to get into at the moment. But right now we are totally busy with this current collection that we have. Are there any categories of the community that MCHC would still like to acquire / feature? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. Maybe you're referring to the cults folder. There's a lot of subjects in this collection. There's just so many. And so it's right now, because we're still processing it, we don't always know what we have. And I think that's where it's a little tough right now to make that call, just because we don't even know what we have already. I would really love the Ellettsville Journal collection, but the Ellettsville History Center has that, so they are being preserved over there. But it's really tough to make that that call, given the moment that we just don't know exactly what we have. Where will the bound copies of the HT likely wind up? I think probably IU Archives. I think that the State Museum is going to take too long to really make up their mind. And so I think that they have a lot more bureaucratic red tape to get through than, and the IU Archives has expressed a keen interest, and they do currently have the space that they could take something like that. So I think that's likely where the collection will end up. Oh, Liz, anything that might be missing or for the whole community, not just the HT collection?
I think that was her explanation to her question.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I think we're still trying to get more info from the surrounding communities. We do know that, like, Steinsville had a paper, Harrodsburg had a paper a long time ago, and trying to get more information on that and where those materials really, like, were they absorbed into others, or how did that work? Yeah, but yeah, I think that just goes back to we still just don't know what we have exactly in order to know what we don't have.
And in the bigger picture, Hilary, if I remember right, the History Center is very interested in having more information about minorities in the community, for example.
Oh, yes,
in
absolutely.
in Black history and others. So
yes, absolutely. That is an ongoing, like, beyond the Herald-Times collection. That's an ongoing initiative of the entire History Center. And so, yes, absolutely, of course.
So Hilary, I think, I mean, the questions keep rolling in, and clearly people are really interested in your topic. Do you have a few minutes to stay afterwards?
I do, yeah, of course.
Wonderful. Okay, so if those of you who have additional questions can stay a little bit after we close, then that would be terrific. Hilary, thank you so much. In honor of your presentation today, we will be giving a donation to the Tandem Birthing Center. And thank you for championing this rich resource for our community. Thank you to you and the History Center for preserving this important collection. Next week on Zoom, our speaker is Bob McVeigh, whose talk is titled, Russian Arctic Strategic Interests Heat Up as the Ice Melts. So we move to foreign policy. Also next week, just to put a bookend on Sarah's opening reflection, we will welcome back Alan Barker and Lance Eberly from the Rotary International Convention in Houston. This was the first in-person convention since 2019. And Alan reports to see the sheer number of participants, around 12,000 from around the world, reflected in the hundreds of passion projects, all devoted to service, peace, and fellowship, has been an inspiration. So we look forward to that. Michael, could you please share the four-way test for our closing? Of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is it the truth?
Is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth,
will be beneficial to all concerned.
And
fifth,
is
it
it
fun? Thank you all. Ding. That closes the formal proceedings of our meeting. And